everybody. Welcome back to Wisconsin Weather Experts, exclusively here on Fox Local, as well as our Fox 6 YouTube page.
That's right. Don't forget to click subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube right now. You might well be inside watching us on YouTube or on Fox Local because you are impacted by some of this smoke. If you have underlying health issues in particular, you have to be pretty careful about your exposure today because there are some wildfires that are raging out of control in parts of Western Canada, over into parts of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, Canada,
Wow,
the central and western provinces. Yeah, what a video right there. So apparently already burned more than 500,000 acres. Think about the massive size that covers. That is, by the way, more than 3 times the size of Milwaukee County.
Wow.
Thousands of people have been ordered to evacuate throughout the province of Manitoba, which is directly north of Minnesota, if you know your geography a little bit. State DNR there, or the provincial DNR there, says that the haze could have impacts across the entire region. And of course, here in our state, Wisconsin could be impacted, is being impacted now, and will be impacted in the coming days as well. So if you are in those sensitive groups, you do have to be very careful. Keep that in mind before getting out there, or before maybe pushing yourself a little too hard today. In fact, we have the latest on the smoke.
Right, we do. If we want to take our graphic system, what this first map we're showing you shows the wildfire smoke that's aloft, so a little higher up in the atmosphere. Think about where the airplanes fly. You can see it's thick across the entire state and across much of the upper plains, and then especially again here in Wisconsin, you can see it. Now technically at the surface, it's not as thick, which is good, but even if there's a little bit of wildfire smoke at the surface, which we are seeing primarily north and west of us.
Yeah, Green Bay, Door County right now.
Yeah, you can see, especially those yellows and reds. I mean, that is going to be impactful. And just know that as we loop this is continuing to move southward. So even those of us in the Milwaukee area and southern Wisconsin expecting to deal with this. Now we have good air quality technically still here in southeast Wisconsin, but Rob, you can see up towards the north, those yellows and especially that orange, that's indicating moderate and unhealthy levels.
Those are for certain groups that, again, have the chronic or underlying health issues like asthma. We're not talking about any rare situation here. A lot of people have health issues, respiratory issues, so do take care. There is that air quality alert as well for the entire state, and then the entire state of Michigan, including the UP, and now the entire state of Minnesota. This is very thick. It's not quite as impactful yet at the surface level, as you were saying, as, say, a couple of years ago when you could smell it, and it was like everyone was smoking cigarettes all of a sudden again. So we hope that doesn't repeat, but obviously we are seeing this come down to the surface in a more impactful way in the northern portion of the state. So we'll watch very closely for that.
Yeah, so just take it, slow if you do have to be out and about today, and if you are in that sensitive group, because it will continue to be an issue. Not as bad this weekend, though, which is
yes. I was going to say the good thing is we do have something on the way to kind of help us out, at least temporarily. This cold front is coming.
We do. Let's dive into our regional forecast for today. We are watching a cold front towards the north of us. There are several across the U.S. right now, but the one that's north of us is number one, going to bring us a few more showers and thunderstorms later today, but it's also going to clear us out over the weekend. So perfect timing for our weekend forecast here in Wisconsin. There's another frontal boundary down south that's going to unfortunately bring some severe weather to parts of the East Coast. Another one out towards the west. But again, those of us in Wisconsin, we are looking at just a few showers and storms today and then improving throughout the weekend and cooling, of course, just a little bit because, of course, it is a cold front. The severe threat for today is primarily out east. You can see there is a slight as well as enhanced risk, especially across the the Carolinas down into parts of Georgia, but even here in the Great Lakes region. Green Bay to Milwaukee and the Chicagoland area, because of that front moving through, we are under a marginal risk, which is a level 1, but it does still mean an isolated thunderstorm may reach strong or severe levels. So not going to even rule out a stray severe thunderstorm here locally later on this evening as that frontal boundary is making its way on through. Now, so far so good. Look up towards Green Bay. That's more so just some rain showers. They're going to continue to sink southward here in the next couple of hours, bringing south central and southeastern Wisconsin a chance for a few sprinkles through the afternoon. This is out ahead of the cold front. The cold front itself is actually up towards the north still, and as that moves through closer to your dinner hour, that's what could provide a few thunderstorms. So if you're planning on being being out and about for your dinner hour and just after in southern Wisconsin, make sure you're paying attention to the weather because we do have that chance for storms. Going forward this afternoon, spotty showers, and then once again, you can see some of those scattered thunderstorms, central southern Wisconsin later in the day. It's going to be one of those situations like yesterday where these are hit or miss. Some may stay dry all throughout the day today. Others may see a couple different rounds of some thunderstorm activity. The good news is that after sunset, we lose our energy. That front will be moving its way on through. We will begin to dry things out. And then we clear out pretty quickly. And as we, go through your Saturday, statewide looking lovely. Maybe a few scattered clouds throughout the day on Sunday, but generally speaking, we are all looking at beautiful conditions throughout our weekend. Now, temperatures today will be a little warmer despite the cloud cover, despite the chance for some rain. Most of the state looking at 70s and looking out west, 80s. And if we think that's warm, there's a lot of heat building out west today and over the weekend, especially for parts of the West Coast. And then we tap into some of that warmer air early next week. But look at forecast highs out west. I mean, it's not uncommon to see triple digits, of course, near Phoenix and in the Southwest, but Salt Lake City looking at high of 90. You can see the 80s across the Dakotas. Now, tomorrow and over the weekend, there are extreme heat warnings as well as heat advisories for parts of California. And look at how those are actually extending up towards the north now, all the way into western Montana. That's where high temperatures will likely be well into the 90s, and in California, well into the 100s. Now, here locally, again, warm today, but not that warm. But you'll notice we do see 80s returning to the forecast heading on into early next week. So we'll get in on a little bit of that early next week. In the meantime, though, after today's chance for storm, really nice weather over the weekend.
Yeah, and even the long range looks pretty good. Starting to hint at actually feeling like summer on a regular basis.
Which I'm happy about.
Yeah, May did not treat us well. It almost would have been better if it was just all 4 weeks were chilly, because we had that one really great week. It was 70s and 80s every day.
Right at the beginning, basically.
Yeah, it was like the second week, or like probably might even the first full week. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. And then all of a sudden, not so much. But yes, it does look like it's turning around. I'm excited. And hey, it's summer in Milwaukee, so enjoy every moment of it.
There you go.
And again, no matter what happens, we're always very happy that we are not dealing with some of the wildfires like we saw at the top of the show. Interesting story here. As much of the country, much of the continent deals with these wildfires, of course, you need a lot of quick responding folks to take care of this. And we've got an interesting story from Fox's Sue Guzman on an invention that might actually help.
With Memorial Day marking the unofficial start of summer, much of the country is bracing for hotter weather and with it, drier conditions that can increase wildfire risks. The threat's especially high out west, where crews across California tackle flames from both the ground and the air. But while helicopters can make an impact, many in drought-prone areas need to fly far to refill from lakes or ponds. This can eat away at precious time where flames can spread.
When we brought helicopters into the wildland-urban interface to fight fire, we didn't think initially of making permanent hydrants for helicopters.
The heli hydrant hopes to help. It's an open tank designed for choppers to refill closer to the origin of a fire. A heli hydrant tank is gravity fed by a local drinking water system.
We test it constantly to make sure that the water is being directed into the tank only.
Helicopter pilots can signal to the tank on their way over to refill. Choppers can fill up in less than a minute.
He sends a signal similar to Morse code. They turn on, provide water, and the pilot has an unending available source of water.
Back in November, firefighters in San Diego put a heli hydrant to the test, with crews tapping the tank roughly 40 times to combat the garden fire. At least 10 heli hydrants are up and running across Southern California. Work to install more than a dozen others presses on.
We're going to change the way firefighting's done in California and hopefully around the country.
Sue Guzman, Fox News.
Really interesting concept.
Yeah, fascinating idea right there. And getting the water to the right place, when you're talking about such difficult terrain. And of course the heat, it's not like you can take trucks into it. The heat is overwhelming and of course deadly. So yeah, fascinating. And hopefully they continue to develop more inventive ways to take care of things. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk not so much about trees and forests or helicopters putting out fires. We're just going to bring it right down to your front lawn. Stick around. Welcome back to Wisconsin Weather Experts right here on Fox Local. It is almost the last day of May.
It is, but it's never too late to talk about the campaign called No Mow May. And it's something you could keep going all summer long, too. We'll just start with that. But it is a campaign to help pollinators as they emerge from hibernation during the month of May. The flowers, the weeds, the grasses, their food, they protect pollinators. I was able to sit down with the Urban Ecology Center's Michaela Rosenthal to talk about this entire concept and give you advice if you want to get involved. Hi there, everybody. I am joined by a special guest, Michaela Rosenthal, the Director of Land Management with the Urban Ecology Center, here to talk a lot about No Mow May, which I know it's the end of May, but it's still a really important topic to talk about. But first and foremost, Michaela, why don't you take us through your everyday responsibilities? What exactly does your job entail?
Yeah, so with the Urban Ecology Center, we work to connect people in cities to nature and each other. So my team specifically focuses on the cultivation, management, restoration of the land, the parkland specifically, that our centers operate out of. So we work to restore natural area within Washington Park, so converting mowed turf grass over to natural area like prairies, woodlands, forests. And then we also manage and maintain natural areas within Riverside Park and Three Bridges Park.
So what exactly is No Mow May?
Yeah. No Mow May is a movement that was started in the United Kingdom to limit lawn mowing in an effort to allow spring blooming plants to develop flowers and bloom, providing sugary nectar and protein-packed pollen as a food source for pollinators like bees, ants, flies during their April-May emergence post-winter. I believe in 2020, folks in Appleton, Wisconsin helped energize this movement due to the anecdotal evidence that they were observing more insect pollinators within the lawn spaces that had more flowering plants due to a lack of mowing when compared to the lawn spaces that were mowed weekly, eliminating the blossoms. So the basis of the idea is to provide resources such as food and shelter at a time when hundreds of animals are returning or emerging in Wisconsin, a place and space that continues to expand human development and reduce natural food sources by either killing them with chemicals or replacing native plant species with non-native, unpalatable plant species.
So clearly this is very beneficial for all pollinators.
Yeah, yes, and then some. So those that I would say aren't the traditional pollinators as well. So the lack of mowing is just one benefit of that land management action. The longer the grass blades, the more shelter available for insects to hide away in or crawl unsuspectingly away or around predators. A side effect of not mowing or not mowing grass shorter than 6 inches is that the flowering plants growing within the lawn can bloom. This is incredibly important if there are no flowering plants, especially native flowering plants, blooming in the area, aka your yard. From this, we are seeing that increase in the number of different plant species within the turf grass or a lawn, right? And this is important because a single plant species only produces flowers for a few weeks, maybe even a few days. The multitude of plant species within this small space is incredibly beneficial to support any life, especially in spring, in a time of breeding and baby rearing. So No Mow May has also pushed against the idea of incorporating herbicides and fertilizers in lawns. So fertilizers are synthetic, highly concentrated, even in pellet form, chemicals developed to target certain species for growth. Herbicide chemicals are killing solutions. That's what they're made for. They're sold for. That's why we apply them on our lawns. Animals, especially small creatures like insects, succumb through incidental, not necessarily that we're intending to hurt them or kill them, but incidental exposure to the fertilizers and herbicides. If we're being honest, this is not so different from what happens to humans if we don't wear personal protective gear or improper equipment. So when we apply the chemicals, we also have to be mindful.
Okay, and let's, circle back to pollinators. We know, especially as of recent years, just how important they are. Maybe go through just simply why we need to protect them.
Yeah, so pollinators provide ecosystem services that help sustain really our own existence by pollinating food crops for humans. They also set a check and balance system to reduce undesired plant growth, as well as pest control or consumption. Many pollinators support soil health. Ants, for example, the numerous ant species and their abundance recycle plant nutrients into the soil. No need for fertilizers. They do that as they turn over and make available naturally occurring soil nutrients to plants in proximity of their tunnels and their nests. Another thing to think about is our vegetable crops or food, fruit trees and shrubs, right? Well, let's say we don't have a vegetable garden, right? Or a fruit tree. It's still valuable, necessary to support them because they're the foundation of our food webs. Pollinators are often consuming plant parts. They then feed smaller animals like birds and bats and opossums. These creatures are then consumed by larger animals, thus building a food pyramid or a web that eventually supports us or brings us into the fold. And yes, insects are the cornerstone, especially pollinators, for health in complex ecosystems. The sad reality is insects, including pollinators, are in decline in the United States. In 2019, there was a meta-analysis of 16 research studies conducted in the states that found insect populations have declined by 45% in the past 40 years due to habitat loss. That includes, incidental kills due to chemical application, not just human development. So humans need these little creatures, plain and simple. The silver lining is we have the knowledge and the ability to modify our own behaviors to support their presence and persistence in our own backyards.
They feel so pesky, I think, day to day, right? Especially when you think of bees. But you just have to have that full circle moment of just how important they really are for our environment and for our humanity.
It's true.
Wow. Okay. So for the people who just simply cannot go an entire month without mowing their lawns, it does sound like there are some options that could benefit pollinators still. Absolutely.
Yes. I have a little bit of lawn and I usually mow every 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
So if you're going to mow, I would recommend bearing in mind a duration that allows for some plants to bloom and flower. And perhaps the more critical takeaway would be the height of the vegetation. So many turf grass managers that set an organic management plan for lawns recommend not mowing turf grass shorter than 6 inches.
Okay.
So usually I set my mower deck height to 6 inches, and that's what we use.
Okay. And it doesn't have to just be May either. It can be as, all summer long if you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Our mower deck sets right at that 6 inches all growing season.
Awesome. Okay, and then I do understand that there are probably some people who just simply can't do it when it comes to HOAs, discouraging tall grasses, or local ordinances. Do you have any advice for people who have to deal with that?
Yeah. Well, if you live in the city of Milwaukee, you can register your property for No Mow May to prevent being fined.
Okay.
It should be noted, and they include this on the website, but by June 3rd, you should have performed a mowing.
Okay.
So you can go on their website and register for No Mow May at Click for Action. And then it's a No Mow May registration. So for those living outside of the city of Milwaukee, I would really recommend contacting the municipality that you're in, or a board or committee members of HOAs, and having a kind conversation about the value in allowing a mix of species to persist in your lawn, and or a 6-inch height threshold. So all in all, it's important to think about the variety of plants growing in a space. So if we can get people on board with that notion, we'll be in good shape with our pollinator support.
And if you want to register your home to be a part of No Mow May in the future, you can head to the website you see on the screen right here. It's also becoming a lot more common to just have a patch in your backyard that you don't mow. So it's even becoming more common where it's not your entire lawn. There are options.
There you go. It's an excuse to leave a little corner.
Exactly.
Make
it easier on yourself.
Have that one. Oh, great, fascinating stuff. Very important. Obviously, appreciate that. We'll be back with more Wisconsin weather experts in 2 minutes.
Welcome back, everybody, to Wisconsin Weather Experts. This last story is really funny. So in England, a centuries-long tradition made its big return with thousands of competitors throwing caution to the wind. All right, this is
Oh my goodness, it looks so painful.
so painful. All right, this is the 9-pound wheel of cheese that goes down a 600-foot hill that everybody races after, and there's lots of spills. That's what it's known
Tom
for.
Kopke won.
Amazing.
Tom Walks, totally different. Tom.
Amazing.
See you on Monday.